Now I have already done a section on special products, but since it is mentioned here on 5.2, we'll just go over it quickly. And special products are a special way to do the FOIL. And again, you could write this one out as A plus B, A plus B. Those are equivalent. But we had mentioned that special recipe for squaring a binomial, and that would give you the first term squared. Multiply these two terms together and double it. Square the last term. Now if we FOILed it, that would be A squared. Outers are inners, and then last, and then grouping like terms gives you this. So this special way of doing it is sort of a shortcut, and you'll have examples that you can work with on there. And then these, you recall, we said were conjugates. And when you multiplied conjugates, the middle terms canceled out. So this would be first. Then our middle terms gave you a negative AB and a positive AB. And last was a negative b squared. But our middle terms canceled out, and we ended up with a squared minus b squared. That is the difference of perfect squares. Whenever you multiply conjugates, the middle terms cancel out, and you end up with the difference of perfect squares. And difference of perfect squares, later you'll see, will factor into its conjugates. And this, you recall, was a perfect square trinomial and perfect square trinomials factor into a binomial square. Okay, now for a few examples using our special technique. Square the first term. Multiply these two terms together, 7x, double it. Square this term. This is a perfect square trinomial. The first and third terms are both perfect squares. And whatever sign is in the middle, that's the sign you'll have there. So, number 12, square this. Multiply these two together. That gives you a 12z. Double it. Square the last term. And now these are conjugates. So the difference of perfect squares will be your answer. 64y squared minus 25. The middle terms cancel out. And these are conjugates. Again, the middle terms cancel out. Now number 15 is a little interesting. It's in the style of a binomial that we're squaring. So let's see if the recipe holds. We're going to square this first term, and I'll write it out. we're going to multiply this times this and double it. So that's going to be a negative 2 times 6 So I'm multiplying these two terms together. It's going to be a negative and I'm doubling it. That's what that 2 is for. Doubling the product of that. And then I'm just going to square this. So when I square this, I'm using that little technique again. This is going to give me a, well, let's write it out here. 2b minus 3 squared. So there's what I'm doing to that. So this is going to become a 36. This becomes a 12 times b squared, a negative 12, times, 2b. So a negative 12, that's going to be a negative 24b. This is going to be a negative 12 times a negative 3, gives me a positive 36. And this one gives me a plus 4b squared as I square that first term. I'm going to multiply these two together. That's going to give me a negative 6b, double it. That's going to be a negative 12b. And square this last term, that's going to be a positive 9. Wow. Then it gets a little tedious. Let's see if I'm getting everything in. I moved it over so you could see it a little bit better. But now we're going to collect like terms. We have a positive 4b squared. We have a negative 24b and a negative 12b. Gives us a negative 36b. Then we have a 36 and a 36, which is 72, plus 9 gives me my 81. So again, special products are used here. There is another example where you are to take 3 terms and 4 terms, and in fact, I'll do some of those. So for number 16, and keep in mind, on integrity, I have all of these worked out as well. And here is just a little video presentation of them. I switched the position of these two because the strategy I'd use is I want to FOIL this first one. So foiling, I get x squared, outers, a negative x, inners, a positive xy, and last, a negative y. So once again, foiling these two, x squared, negative x, positive xy, negative y. I'm now going to multiply it by this one. And I'm going to use the vertical multiplication that we spoke of earlier. A very good technique. And again, I'll let you do that. And for this one, the strategy is this is to the 4th power. Well, I'll divide it into this, and I'll use that special technique of square the first term, multiply these together, double it, and this comes out exactly the same. Now you're going to use vertical multiplication to do all of these. And the answer is in the booklet. And again, this will be practice for you.